What's up guys, it's James back again. I know it's been a minute since we put up a video and I'm happy to be back. Had to deal with some, IRL stuff, but I really wanted to spotlight this tournament that happened this weekend at, my main locals Gamer's Choice. If you remember a couple months ago, we had an Ultimate Kaios tournament that I ended up winning. You can check out that video for a similar, style of deck lists and coverage. But, I really just want to make sure that these local scenes are getting good coverage. I know there's a lot of big tournaments out in, LA and things like that people look to those deck lists to see what's doing well right now. But New York has a very big local scene as well, a lot of great players, and I think doesn't always get the coverage it kind of deserves. But yeah, this was a huge tournament, honestly, as you can see on the screen, this prizing, super rare Book of Moon, ultimate rare dark arm. I think the Book of Moon is sitting somewhere around $700-800, the dark arm $250, $300, and just pretty good prizing all the way down. So shout out to Gamer's Choice, of course, for hosting this weekend, and hope to see more stuff from them. Anyone in the area, obviously come out. But yeah, and I mean, like I said, I hope you guys have been checking out the streams and enjoying the other stuff I've been posting, but I'd rather just get right into the decks, and hopefully, I'm not going to be at YCS Raleigh this weekend. I couldn't make it. But if this guy can help inform your decisions on what to play, or just see what other people are doing, maybe that can be a big help for you guys. So basically, top 8, we got Ernie, who's a good local player. I think I've only seen him play Blackwings, and sometimes those are the people that I'm really scared of. Not the person that's practiced 1,000 punches once, but the one that's practiced one punch 1,000 times type shit. So yeah, it's I feel like those people just have a depth of knowledge of dealing with different situations, know how to deal with different weird side cards that if you're just a person that picks up a deck for one tournament and then throws it away, you don't really have the same level of expertise. So yeah, he's pretty experienced with this deck, and you see a couple weird picks here, like one Econ. I know someone topped this deck a while ago, one of the guys from Philly, I think. It's a pretty interesting pick because you can Blizzard get something back and then take their monster with Econ and get a kind of free synchro out of it. Gore's main deck, just stop some aggression, but overall fairly standard. The Transmigration Prophecy on the side is pretty neat. Mycon Nobleman, pretty standard to counter a lot of value, which there is a lot of value at our locals, and no TT main inside. Little interesting, but not so out of the ordinary for Blackwing. The one Compulse, one Destinator split, I think that's pretty solid. And I know it's been picking up some popularity. But yeah, good job to Ernie. Pretty solid list, not much to complain about. Next up, we got Ernie, who you guys may know as the guy who beat me in the finals of the YCS Time Wizard when I was playing Fish. Ernie is a great player as well. Mostly plays Vayu or Blackwing, and this is again a fairly standard Vayu list. I think pretty similar to what he was playing even at that tournament, if I recall correctly. Still got the Sork main deck, one Charge of Light Brigade, not double Hamster, not on the triple Kaios train yet. We'll get there, buddy. Main deck Gores, and then sticking with Fossil Dino over Vanity's Fiend. And the rest of it looks pretty standard. I mean, one Starlight Road, the Minecon for the Mirror, the one Snowman. So I think this is almost card for card what he played back then. I could be slightly wrong, but I'm not noticing many changes, or at least in the realm of very standard value lists that I've seen a lot of other people play. Not to take anything away from him, of course. No Cyber Dragon, no Chimera Tech. But yeah, worked out well for him. Made top 8, very consistent player locally. Next up, we got Reese. Now, I think this is probably one of the more interesting decks in the top 8, and I'm also not very familiar with this player. A lot of these other guys, I've known, I've played against them, I've played locals with them, but Reese, not really sure. Maybe he came from out of town or traveled to this, which I'm hoping more people end up doing. But this is actually a pretty cool list. I've been kind of singing the praises of Synchro Cat for a little while now. I think it's as far as the kind of tier 2, tier 2.5 decks go, it can really hang with all the other machine, glads, gadgets, whatever. I think it's not that much worse than Heroes. It has some good tools to counter those decks, like Spies, a lot of flips. They don't really like dealing with that. And the interesting thing here is he's got kind of a Chaos Stun package just with these 3 monsters in the middle, Double Doom Cow, Ryo. I've seen people play Caliber Cat. Sometimes they're playing Allure, sometimes they're playing Dark Armed. I think those kind of add degrees of inconsistency that I don't really like, but he's also not playing Torrential. just like Rennie. But I think in this case, it's like you kind of just want to stick one of your stun guys and then protect it and or summon Airbellum next to it and just like get a bunch of damage in, get some advantage in. It doesn't work so well with Doomcal, of course, but I think that's kind of the plan. So you don't want to wipe your board, even though Torrential is a pretty good combo with Rescue Cat itself. You know, he is siding it, and he's not maining Tornado, not maining Cold Wave. I kind of like that as well. You know, people really want to like zero in on kind of like Wombo combo type stuff where you're just gonna like Cold Wave Arcanite them every time. But I don't actually think that's how a lot of games play out, to be honest. So those cards can be kind of bricky. Opting just for more kind of like consistent removal. My Body as a Shield can kind of proactively stop Bottomless. So this is a pretty cool deck, and siding Dark Bride maybe can go into more of a stun package with Dinah and another Ryo with those in the Starlight Road. Karmika also making an appearance. Just kind of a weird list. Don't really know what to make of it, but a pretty interesting one and a pretty good blueprint, I think, if you're playing Synchro Cat going forward. Next up, we got Bowen. Shout out to Bowen, who lives like 2 blocks from me right now. But Bowen's a good guy, and all these guys also often play in the online tournaments in War League. Definitely check that out if you're looking to play online and play against some high-level opponents. But yeah, the last card here on the side is a Starlight Red, by the way. I think it might be getting cut off on my screen. But basically, this is like a Machina Flip variant that's been gaining some popularity. Just really replacing like the gadgets with the Hamster Raikou engine. And I think this is a pretty solid strategy. It's really annoying for Vayu to deal with. I'll say that much. And can have a really, really strong late game. You know, it's like if you're shuffling back multiple gear frames and all your resources with your Amaryllis, and like gets to late game, your opponent has used a lot of their resources, and you still have triple gear frame that you're drawing into, as well as the Caiuses and stuff. That can be really, really hard to deal with. So I don't think it necessarily beats Vayu 100% of the time, but it definitely makes it very difficult. And I think you have to be a pretty experienced Vayu player to know how to navigate this type of matchup. So it doesn't surprise me that he's done well. And he, again, like these other players I mentioned, he's played mostly this deck as far as I can remember over the past couple months. So I think it goes to show, locking in with one deck and kind of really gaining some experience is a good way to get some good results in this format. The side deck, I think, pretty standard for this kind of list. Sometimes you see people side Iron Wall versus Shadow Mirror. Shadow Mirror shuts off your Caius and your Plague and stuff, your Gores, your Sork. Iron Wall also shuts off some of those same cards, but it also lets you keep your Bottomlesses, he's not playing Dimension Prism, but I think that maybe Shadow Mirror can be used against a wider variety of decks, maybe still good against Blackwing, even though I don't know if that's super strong. But I also don't really think you need both Iron Wall and Shadow Mirror, so it's kind of just like pick which floodgate you want and hope it gets there. Jury's still out maybe on whether I actually think Iron Wall is better, because it does stop Deep Prison on your Machina Fortress and things like that. He's got the one tech Aaron, which is kind of neat. Can search that off the charge, maybe helps dealing with zombies or anything that's trying to wall you out like that. The rest of it's pretty standard, just kind of good stuff. This is just like a classic good stuff deck. Recycle your resources. You have a good +1 engine with the gear frames and the hamsters, and it's a pretty solid deck. If it's better than Vayu, I don't know about that one. But anyway, moving on to top 4, we got Jake. Now this is best Yu-Gi-Oh player NA. He's quite high on the DB ladder often, and he performs very well, I know, in some of Keegan's tournaments. But this is his Hero Zombie deck that he's been playing a very similar list to this for the past couple months. I know at one point I saw him post something about this is like the optimized Hero Zombie list. And so I think he hasn't changed a single card. He feels really good about it. I don't have those lists memorized, so I can't say for sure. And I don't know how much I agree that this is the unchangeable list. But, it does look very solid, I think, for what it's trying to do. I don't think you want a lot of defense when you're playing like this type of deck. You want to like have their bombs in Miracle and zombie combos. You don't want to just get stuck on too many traps. You have the Sark to search it. Now, people say Sark can be pretty slow, but certainly if you're going first, or if they aren't playing a super aggressive deck or don't have a super aggressive hand, Sark is like a super powerful card to resolve. whether it's getting a Future Fusion or a Rhoda or a Miracle or something like that, Storm even. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a solidly built deck for what it's trying to do for sure. Whether this is, you know, my preference over the more like grindy zombie decks, I don't really know, but it's definitely a solid list. And the side deck, even though it's like a lot of one-ofs, I think it's a lot of like power bomb cards, and that's kind of what you want in a deck like this that's already filled with so many bombs. Like, you don't want to be siding into some kind of mid-range strategy. You want to just like side in more focused, you know, bomb floodgates or you know, soul release, things like this. So yeah, shout out to Jake, and I think this is a very solid list for what it is. Now, next up, we got Tim Pontes, and funnily enough, I beat Tim in the top 4 of this last tournament, but I think he did get 4th in that one, so glad to see he's moved up and gotten 3rd. I think he won, that means he won the 3rd, 4th playoff, I'm not 100% sure, but because I wasn't in attendance at this event, I had a wedding to go to. Now, Tim's deck, I don't exactly remember from the last one. I think it's quite similar because all these Hero Frog decks, you know, end up being quite similar, to be honest. He's on double Upstart now, which is an interesting trend. I've seen people play 1, I've seen people play 2, I don't see that many people play 3, but you know, it's just all the stuff you would expect from Hero Frog, I would say. You know, not on anything like Malicious. He still is on Fader. He is on triple swap, none of this double swap shenanigans, and the side just looks really focused. I think the side might be my favorite part because just a lot of 3-ofs. It just seems like he knows what he's doing with it. Like I keep saying, you know, practice with your deck, like know its bad matchups, know your sideboard plans, and it seems like he has developed a quite solid mastery of it, with a good 2 top 4 finishes back to back. I know he's kicking himself. I know he wants the first place, but still good job to Tim. And yeah, I mean, super solid Hero Frog list. Can't really pick it apart too much. I like not playing too many traps. I think people maybe go a little too trap heavy nowadays in the Frog decks. But keeping it simple is still best in my opinion. Now, next / last, I have Jamal. Now, the kicker here is that 1st and 2nd place in this tournament split. Now I will say it was 2 Amaryllis decks, which is already pretty interesting in and of itself. But the one player, Adam JM95, he plays a lot on DB as well. He, I think, is going to YCS Raleigh and does not want his deck list leaked, and I will respect his opinion on that, even though I gotta say it might be a little silly to me because I will leak that it's not even the craziest list. It's a somewhat standard Amaryllis list, but you know, I get it. You're traveling to the event. You don't want to shoot your odds in any type of way. But Jamal is a very good player locally. I think he top 8'd the last one, so we have a couple repeat toppers here. Jamal, Tim, maybe Rennie topped the last. I don't exactly remember. But you know, that's always good to see because it just shows like there is a degree of consistency. The game's not all luck, but you know, Jamal has been playing this deck for a while. Like I keep saying the same thing, but I think it's pretty solid. You know, 1 Miracle Fertilizer kind of sticks out to me. 1 Hidden Armory, not really loading up on these cards that like, it's not even that they're bad in multiples, but just sometimes with the rest of your hands, like you have to kind of choose between committing normal summon or doing one of these, and can just kind of leave you on like 1 play a turn, just kind of locked into a narrow game plan. He is on like main deck bottomless, not triple Wind Blast. The 1 Caius is kind of nice to see. I think that's a card that could do well in Amaryllis. And he's cut down to 2 Amaryllis, which is interesting. Kind of cutting down the bricks, still keeping 3 trade-in. So to me, this is a little bit of a wonky list, but it definitely works for him, keeping the main deck Morphing Jar. I'm trying to look at the side. The Karma Cut also making an appearance, you know, is in the Synchro Cut deck as well. But, you know, a lot of the sort of repeat offenders, Cyber Dragons, Consecrated Lights, DD Crows, Vortex, Soul Release, Shadow Mirrors, you know, these are in a lot of the side decks that we've seen so far. The Chalice is interesting. That's a card that's been picking up some popularity, I know, in other decks as well. But overall, you know, this is a kind of actually unique take now that I'm thinking about it, because the 2 Amaryllis, I really haven't seen many other people experimenting with that at all. But it is a neat pick, and I think maybe can help with the consistency of those brick hands that anyone who plays this deck knows. Now, yeah, so him and Adam split in the finals, so I think they got a nice little payout between the Book of Moon and the Ultimate Caius. So good job to both of them, and good luck at Raleigh to either / both of them if they're going. And that's going to wrap it up. I mean, those are the decks. I hope you guys enjoyed this coverage of the tournament, and I know I've been a little bogged down with life stuff, but I hope to be back to making content soon. There's a lot in the pipeline. I'm definitely going to be at nationals and some of these other tournaments, but I hope you guys enjoyed this just window into New York local scene. Congrats to all these players. I really wanted to get the run back and go back to back winning these tournaments, but sadly couldn't make it. But yeah, good job to Jamal, Adam, and everybody else, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace, and like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys.